This video it's going to be trading plan number 6 review. So let's start off with the 6 hours chart. So yesterday I was anticipating price to want to gravitate towards the weekly fair value gap for ES, and for NQ the 75% of the weekly fair value gap. I've mentioned that we have 9:30 news, Jerome Powell speaking. Therefore, things are likely going to be unpredictable. But we do have a very clean London session. Right, so let's take a look at the London session here. Even though I missed it, right, because it was on a time frame that I didn't toggle through. So for London's session, we will be focusing on the midnight candle right here, this particular candle for NQ and this particular candle for ES. All right, you notice that we already can see S&P on the highs right here, this swing high for ES and this swing high for NQ. Heading down into the 30 minutes, S&P becomes quite clear from this high to this high and this high to this high. All right, and then during the London session, which is midnight right here, price traded back up into the last order block right here on ES, and for NQ it's this one, before continuing lower. Right, so ES made a lower high, which means the best shorts are going to be presented in ES rather than NQ. So for ES, you'll be looking, I mean, if I were in that particular trade, I will be looking to take out the previous session's lows. So mainly I was looking at Asia's low. The other low was this low right here. This is during the PM session. This is the PM session's low. All right, and other than this low, we have this rejection block right here. Okay, so this was a valid trade setup, but I did not take it because I didn't see it on the 30 minutes. I wasn't able to identify that setup right here, which is why I didn't manage to capture this move down here. So as you can see, it's a low resistance liquidity runs. It only took 1, 2, 3, 1.5 hours to complete the entire move. Right, so because this is a 30 minutes candle, so maybe 2 hours, sorry, because this candle here went into the entry that I would have placed at 25%. Right, but at the same time, if you take a look at the stops, it's pretty far, so it's a very wide stop. Personally, it's not one of my favorite, but it worked. Okay, because the risk is a little bit too high for my liking. That's just my own opinion, but you can have yours. Okay, so moving on into the AM session, we don't really have anything except for the SMT on the lows. We have SMT on the lows right here for ES and right here for NQ. Right, and let's drop into the 90 minutes time frame. So for the 90 minutes time frame, because of this low, I was looking to see if price wants to come back into this order block, or at least the 6 hours order block right here. sorry, not 6 hours, we call it 4 hours. 4 hours order block right here. This was the last down close candle that formed the swing low. I mean that formed the lower low. Okay, so price eventually did came down here, but then again I wasn't looking at the 4 hours time frame. Okay, so on both occasions I missed the entry, but it's totally fine because this candle right here is the 10 o'clock candle. We have a red driver news at 10 o'clock. So let's mark the order blocks open, or maybe just this level here, and for NQ it would be this level here. All right, so let's take a look at the lower time frames to see if we have anything. All right, so we do have this 90 minutes fair value gap. I was anticipating, because I was not on the 4 hours, okay, I was anticipating price to at least tag into this fair value gap for me to give an entry. So it would be SMT between NQ and ES on the lows, whereby ES tags into the fair value gap and NQ leaves it open. So I was waiting for that opportunity, but it did not present itself to me. So that is also something that I cannot control. Therefore, I took no trades for yesterday. Right, so this is the review here of what happened yesterday, and based on this expansion here, I would like to say that in expansion profiles it's very difficult to catch the moves. Right, it's either you are in before the news releases, or you don't really, or you try to hop on the ride, but then the risk is going to be a lot. So that's one of the disadvantages of a expansion profile, right? So for expansion profiles, it's better that, I mean, based on my experience, it's better that you get into a position before the news, but in that case you have to lower your risk in terms of like capital, because you're not really sure what the price is going to do during the news driver, and you have to put your stops at the most logical place, and usually that place would leave you at a loss because it can come back down very deep and then reverse again, because that is like news manipulation, right? And on the higher time frames, we were bearish, as I've mentioned before. Therefore, I wasn't really keen on going for longs yesterday, even because my anticipation was that it needs to, or it should trade down into the weekly fair value gap before reversing higher. That was my anticipation, but turns out that it's not wanting to do so. Okay, if you take a look at the big picture, we are in a very range bound market. So we have been ranging within this dealing range since last week. This is the range high, range low for ES as well, range high, range low. Notice how we don't have a closing price below this low. Yeah, so this to me is a dealing range. Okay, so in a consolidation market profile, it's good to trade within sessions. I think that's what I'm good at. But when you get sudden expansions like this, for me it's really difficult to capture the move. Okay, and with this I will end the review, and I'll talk to you again